Think back to your youth. What were some of your fondest memories while being in school? Well, for myself, as I'm sure many of you will remember, the times you've had with your friends on the playground, right? Recess was one of the highlights of my day. It was a time to hang out with friends and also beat the boys in a game of dodgeball or tetherball. At least, that's what I thought recess was all about back then. But now, as an adult, I see that playtime is an important aspect of physical, social, emotional, and cognitive development. Playtime allows children to develop ideas and engage in critical thinking. Motor development skills also play as well. But as important as play can be in the daily lives of children, the amount of time spent playing has decreased in recent decades. Schools are actually decreasing the amount of recess for children as to put an emphasis on their academics. Now, I'm all for academics when it comes to the future of our children. Knowledge is definitely power. But with childhood obesity becoming more and more prevalent in America today, I believe that cutting recess time is a risk. I want to speak to you guys about the importance of physical health for our youth, including immediate and long-term effects, and why it's imperative to keep recess and playtime in their favor. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, childhood obesity has more than doubled in children and quadrupled in adolescents in the past 30 years. Okay. Heredity can attribute to the cause of overweight children, but factors such as poor eating and exercise habits, processed foods, and increased television viewing all have an impact on childhood obesity. Being overweight limits the amount of physical activity a child can partake in, which can further limit their interaction with other children and therefore potentially further impacting their self-image. Some of the immediate health effects include risk factors for cardiovascular disease, prediabetes, which is determined by blood glucose levels, bone and joint problems, and as I've mentioned, poor self-esteem. Long-term health effects include high cholesterol, high blood pressure, full-blown diabetes, increased risk for certain types of cancers, and long-term psychological problems. The American Heart Association recommends at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity a day in order to help control weight, reduce blood pressure, reduce diabetes, as well as improve psychological well-being. If the foods for our children in cafeterias are going to be subpar, at least encourage them to be active. In summary, being physically active is important when it comes to the overall physical health of our children. It benefits them psychologically, boosting their self-confidence and self-esteem. More than likely, active children will become active adults. We, as adults, need to take the initiative and be role models for our children by being advocates for living a healthy and active lifestyle. We want to disprove the statistics about childhood obesity. Schools need to promote an environment and establish policies that support healthy behaviors. Reducing the amount of recess for children will hinder this ideology. Practicing an active, healthy regimen early on will instill in children the importance of leading a healthy life and can be an important step towards addressing the obesity epidemic.